They rose from the bedrock of Manhattan like twin pillars of ambition, 110 stories each, steel and glass piercing the sky. For nearly 3 decades, they dominated the New York skyline, visible from 40 miles away, home to 50,000 workers, a destination for more than 200,000 visitors every single day. They were hated, they were loved. To some, they represented progress. To others, corporate arrogance. But no matter how people felt about them, the Twin Towers became impossible to ignore. They stood as towering symbols of American capitalism, American confidence, and American power. And then, in less than 102 minutes, they were gone. But what were the Twin Towers, really? Before the collapse, we need to go back. Back to when Lower Manhattan was dying. Back to one man's vision. Back to the dream of building the tallest buildings on Earth. This is the complete story of the World Trade Center. Lower Manhattan in the 1950s. The beating heart of American finance, Wall Street, was losing its pulse. Businesses were leaving downtown for Midtown. Office towers uptown were newer, cleaner, and easier to reach. Meanwhile, Lower Manhattan was beginning to feel old. The docks that once made New York the greatest port in the world were emptying. Container shipping had moved operations across the Hudson River to New Jersey. The maritime economy that helped build New York City was collapsing. Downtown was fading. Something had to change. David Rockefeller, grandson of the world's first billionaire, chairman of Chase Manhattan Bank, a man with wealth, influence, and one overwhelming obsession: saving Lower Manhattan. In 1955, Rockefeller announced plans for a new 60-story headquarters for Chase Manhattan on Cedar Street, a $121 million bet on downtown Manhattan. But Rockefeller quickly realized one building would never be enough. Over lunch that same year, legendary urban planner Robert Moses warned him that the new Chase Tower could become a disaster unless the broader decline of Lower Manhattan was reversed. Rockefeller listened. In 1958, his Downtown Lower Manhattan Association released an 80-page master plan to transform the entire district. New housing, traffic improvements, modern office developments, and at the center of it all, a massive World Trade Center. Not just another office complex, but a global center for commerce so enormous that it would anchor international business at the southern tip of Manhattan. The original estimated cost was $250 million. Rockefeller knew he could not build it alone. He needed an institution powerful enough to reshape New York itself, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Created in 1921 to manage the region's bridges, tunnels, ports, and transportation infrastructure, the Port Authority had become one of the most influential public agencies in America. By 1960, its executive director, Austin Tobin, supported the idea. But there was a catch. New Jersey wanted something in return. The compromise centered around the failing Hudson and Manhattan Railroad, later known as PATH. The Port Authority agreed to take over the struggling commuter rail system linking New Jersey to Lower Manhattan. It was expensive, politically controversial, and financially risky. But it unlocked the project. There was just one problem. The proposed site wasn't empty. It was home to Radio Row, a crowded neighborhood filled with electronic stores, warehouses, repair shops, and small businesses stretching along Greenwich Street. For decades, immigrant families and local merchants had built their livelihoods there, and they had no intention of leaving. In July 1962, business owners marched through the streets carrying a coffin. They called it the death of Mr. Small Businessman. Lawsuits followed. Appeals reached New York's highest court. For years, the merchants fought the Port Authority in an attempt to stop demolition. They lost. In April 1963, the New York State Court of Appeals ruled in favor of the Port Authority. The project could move forward. 17 city blocks, hundreds of businesses, thousands of livelihoods, all erased to make room for the tallest buildings on Earth. But the question is, who could possibly design this tallest building? The Port Authority interviewed some of the most famous architects in the world, including Philip Johnson and Walter Gropius. But ultimately, they chose a Japanese-American architect few New Yorkers recognized, Minoru Yamasaki. Yamasaki had designed airports, concert halls, and government buildings. His work blended modernism with decorative elegance. He believed architecture should create feelings of serenity and beauty. There was just one strange irony. Yamasaki was terrified of heights. Yes, the man chosen to design the tallest buildings on Earth was afraid of tall buildings. But he also had a vision. He wanted the towers to stand as a symbol of man's dedication to world peace. His original proposal looked very different. One tower, 70 stories, located near the East River. That version would not survive for long. By 1962, the project had shifted west toward the Radio Row site. Port Authority executive Guy Tazzoli had taken control of the development. Meanwhile, negotiations with New Jersey and the PATH takeover continued, driving costs upward. The budget climbed from $250 million to $355 million, then toward nearly $500 million. But the vision was growing too.